Mothers are the queens of the castle, but let's be real, it's not all ball gowns and glass slippers.
On this podcast, we're giving you a peek behind the throne at the privilege and responsibility of wearing the crown. My name is Helen Hope Kimbrough, and I'm a proud wife and mom of 2 adult sons.
And I'm Charlita Hatch, a proud wife, married to my high school sweetheart, and a proud mom to 2 little ones. Get ready as we share jewels with each other
and you around all things connected to motherhood. Hello, everyone. So excited to be here. And Charlita, who do we have here with us?
Well, I am so excited to introduce y'all to Mark, not Marcus, my high school sweetheart, the love of my life, and my baby daddy.
All right. Okay. This is my husband, Marcus, not Mark. And we've been married 28 years. We have 2 adult sons, and we are empty nesters and so glad about it.
Our nest is really full. So y'all been married 28 years. We've been married 8 years. We have, as y'all know, a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old. So it feels like I have like 25 people in the nest, but people keep telling me it's just 2.
It's just 2. It could be more, Charlita.
Could it be more?
No.
He's
like, no.
No. We're good.
Yeah. It could be more if Marcus and Helen decide to be like godparents that have the kids live with them and we see them on the weekend.
I understand, girl. I understand.
It takes a lot.
It does. We remember. Mm-hmm. Well, we're so excited to have you both here with us today. Of course, we did a big Mother's Day episode leading up to our launch. And since Charlita and I are both daddy's girls, we were like, we have to talk about dads. I mean, we have to talk about fathers. I mean, my dad is a big deal in my life. I know her dad is a big deal in her life. And so we wanted to definitely share our perspective with that. But we also just wanted to have your voices on here as well, because you're dads and you know all the things that dads do. Mm-hmm. And so we have, a conversation that we would like to have surrounding Father's Day. I know that it is my husband's favorite day, other than even his birthday is not as high as Father's Day. So that's a big deal. What about you, Mark?
No, I mean, I like Father's Day. I like to feel like I can do what I want to do sometimes, even though it's probably more the kids, what they want to do. But it makes you feel good that, this is a celebration for me.
Yep. Celebration for you and all the dads and uncles and coaches and nephews.
Nephews, yes.
Anybody that I'm missing?
So I'm curious, Marcus, why is this your favorite more than your birthday?
Well, for me, it really goes back, Charlita, to raised with my family. And so, I don't know my biological father, and I have my stepfather who took me in, gave me his last name. And so, it's interesting. He used to say, take care of this Kimbrough name. Don't mess it up. And in the beginning, I used to think, I'm like, what are we, the Kennedys? Why does this name need to be so protected? But now I understand it as I'm older, as I'm a father, I understand, what he was trying to do. And so for me, I really, not knowing my biological father and having 2 boys that Helen has, brought into this world, it's important for me to be able to, share with them and pour into them, what it means to be a father and what fatherhood is about. And I just want to be a great example for them. And that's why Father's Day is so important to me.
I love that, Marcus. And, I can resonate with that, what you just shared, because I'm adopted and I've shared that on kind of previous episodes. And I think, as I've become into an adult and kind of like they're really doing some self-work and like why I'm feeled the way I'm feeled and why things matter, I think I was subconsciously a daddy's girl because I didn't understand it at the time, but it's like he chose me. Mm-hmm. And he loved me. He had no blood relation to me. Like my mom, she was my aunt, but raised me as her own. So my mom, but like my dad, there was like zero connection and you would never know it. Mm-hmm. And he just never tolerated anybody not treating me as his first child. Family members really set the tone for like true unconditional love. And he taught me, along with my grandmother, that blood isn't everything. Like blood is not thicker than water to me because of my dad. Because if it was, then that bond that we share wouldn't be the same. And so I really appreciate you sharing your perspective. And even when I got married, I made sure to drop my last name, which was not my parents who raised me last name. And then I added in Crowder to like honor my dad and the family that raised me.
Oh, I love that. That's so awesome and so special too. What a great sentiment. So I appreciate both of you sharing that. I did have a question because both of you are married to daddy's girls. And I want to know, what does that feel like to be married to a daddy's girl?
Queen, like behind the throne.
That's it. That's it. I will, Mark, I'll jump on that one first. For me, it's always been important that I wanted to be with someone that was extremely, not extremely independent, but did not have to be dependent upon me and what I'm doing. And so when I met Helen, there's a whole backstory behind that, but
You only have 20 minutes.
Right. And so, meeting her family and particularly meeting her father, it was really, evident from day one that, he poured into her that she is independent. She does not need a man per se to live on this earth. And so, I said, okay, hey, this is somebody that I can be with, and seeing the example that he's put forth with her, that, hey, this is somebody that I can roll with and be down with, because she doesn't necessarily need to be dependent upon me to make things happen. And she has proven that day in and day out.
No, and I agree with that stuff. I mean, Charlita is very independent, and she probably could go without me without it. But at the same time,
I barely survived this weekend, folks.
yeah. But at the same time, like we had a kind of conversation. I'm not her father. I'm going to take. He did a lot of stuff, which was great, awesome. And sometimes I think at the beginning she come in, well, my dad did this. My dad did this. Okay, well, that's not me. I don't operate like this. This is, we're starting our lives together. And he's still a part. He still does things. I mean, I go to him for advice, just like I go to my father for advice sometimes. But we had she's the daddy's girl. And sometimes, I have to kind of bring her to my girl. She's my girl now sometimes. But
I put my own gas in the car.
like, okay, yeah, you can go to the gas station, just call me. I mean, it's not, but making sure we, are on the same page of what, our expectations is as a family.
Yeah, that's good. Because I always sometimes wanted to know just what that, perspective would be. And so I felt like it was an important question to ask as well. So let's share some experiences about our father, Charlita. What would you like to share about Mr. Crowder?
So I think, I kind of highlighted that a little bit earlier, but the one thing I would amplify is that I think my dad, for me, really set the tone and the stage for my own security and confidence. So because I had him in my life, I wasn't seeking or looking for male validation. I never was that way. I was pretty confident in who I was and what I should expect, because he was just an ever-present figure in my life. And so I think it was just, I can't take away just him being there and, spending time with us, helping us with our homework. My dad has always been my Valentine, even now. Like, he always gets me my favorite candy, my favorite flowers from a young age, even now. And when I was in college, he would send it to me. And so just having that really allowed me to have a posture of kind of like what Mark said, is like, I'm good,
Yeah.
And so you got to be here to at least allow me to move forward. And the other thing I'll say is the work ethic piece. I always say I may not be the smartest, but I'm a hard worker. And my dad was a hard worker. My dad worked 2 full-time jobs when we were younger so that my mom would be able to stay at home with us and be our first teacher. And so, we never saw him sitting. And part of the way he was with us is like, you're not going to just sit here. You're going to get up. It's Saturday. I'm working. You
Do
working.
we have the same dad?
Yeah, you cleaning baseboards, you cleaning the ceiling. He's made up stuff to clean. But but because of that, I feel like that has attributed also to me being able to navigate through things, whether it's through school or through work, is having that work ethic. And I think that's a big differentiator. So shout out to you, Dad, for confidence, self-esteem, and hard work.
Yeah.
How about you, Helen?
I love that. So for my dad, I mentioned on a previous episode, actually the Mother's Day episode, that my mom was the breadwinner. And so my dad was in school and he was working on his master's degree as well. And so he literally was like the person that was in the house with us. And he would take us to the park. So he's the one who taught me how to ride a bike. My sister and I taught me how to skate, taught me how to tie my shoes so I would be ready for kindergarten and all of those like essential things. And he also is the one who would take me to class with him. And so when people are like, wow, you are a lot like your dad. Yes, because I was going to theology classes with my dad. And I think because of that, we are a lot alike. Our work ethic is similar. We think similarly as well. Sometimes we can be very serious about certain things, but we also have a vivacious laugh. Both of us do. And so you can hear us from the other room. And so he has always been like a big supporter of us and a supporter of my husband and a supporter of our children. He calls my kids, walking geniuses. And so he's always would say, you guys are a walking genius. So they already knew that coming in and out that, he knew that they were smart, no matter what anybody else said. And he would make my sister and I feel the same way. So I loved how he poured those affirmations and confirmations in us and laid the foundation as well in terms of Christianity in us, because that has been our legacy. And I think that's going to be the legacy that carries us forward.
The one funny story I will share is that I think Mark and I would actually be similar. Is like my mom was very like empathetic with us and like would feel what we were feeling. And my dad was like the solution person. So if you were in trouble, you needed to call my dad because he's gonna like immediately get to fixing it versus maybe like my mom being like, oh no, your tire's flat. That's so sad. How are you? Like you're like, I need my car fixed. Also, my dad was a secret keeper, and my mom would always tell my dad, even when she said she wasn't. But my dad, I still don't think he ever told my mom. And so when I first got my cycle, I told my dad first because I didn't want my mom to know because I knew she would tell all my aunts. So my
Girl,
dad
you all the way vulnerable on here. Go ahead. Just
so
put it
my
all out
dad,
there.
so
I'm
my
with you, Mark. I'm with you. Go ahead.
so my dad was the first person to get me my bags. And
Okay.
and kept it for like at least 2 or 3 months because I didn't want everybody in my family to know.
Oh,
Because my mom was gonna tell it. Yes, mama, you was gonna tell it.
I know. So that just shares, the sentiments about our dad and how we feel about them. But Mark and Marcus, I would love to know what you feel about fatherhood. Like, what makes you great at being a father?
Being great, I, I have no clue. I just I feel like just being around the kids and just making sure that they have what they need and making sure that they're happy. I think making sure that my presence is felt when they walk through when I walk in the door, that they if I feel like that I'm getting the attention from them, that they miss me or want me to being around, that's what makes me feel good. That you see some people who don't want to be around their parents and things like that. That'll probably happen later on in life. Haven't gotten that part yet, but it makes me feel good when my kids want to be around me and play and just see the smiles on their faces when they're running around and doing whatever they're probably not supposed to be doing at the time.
That makes it fun though, right?
I will say Mark will go to the end of the earth for these kids. And there is nothing that he won't do. He will make sure they have the best. He makes sure they have everything they need. And he agrees with them, he hugs them, he shows them affection. And I love, 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 love that you're not just somebody who's like, well, I'm at work and that's all that matters, that you are hands in the trenches with me, with them. And that is what makes you great, because I feel like we are co-parents together, and not that you're just sitting on the sidelines trying to get the big piece of chicken.
Well, it's definitely about being present. As you said, Mark, I think for me, that's what, makes fatherhood great for me. It's just being present in their lives and being available more than anything else. I know, like I said, with my father, it was just, love is shown in different ways, right? He never, very rarely would say, I love you. And so for me, with my boys, I tried to make that a habit and more of an everyday, or, a more often occurrence, so that it wouldn't be foreign to them, so that they could be able to express how they feel. And so, that's, I wanted to be present in that way and show up in different ways for them than what was shown for me. And so I just think it's important to be available and be present and just be there for them, however they need it to be, really. And ultimately, I feel that's what can make it, make you a great father, and what fatherhood's about.
He's a great father when the mom does the work, but the dad gets the credit.
That's right.
Because they say he gets the credit. And I'm like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm. I taught the boys how to read. Just put that on the record.
No. He did not, but they give him credit. And so I'm like, what is going on here? So I just had to say that out loud. Like, okay. And even for Father's Day, yeah, Avery and I were talking already. Austin is the oldest one. It's like, yeah, we're talking already about what we can get, Dad, for Father's Day. And I'm just kind of like, okay, y'all had conversations about this?
Because I know you didn't have no conversations about Mother's Day.
Yeah, I have to remind them, hey, your mother's birthday, it's Mother's Day, just so you know.
But they got family meetings going on about Father's Day, Dad's favorite holiday. So yes, you must be Dad of the Year.
Yeah, so I just want him to know that that's what they are doing and planning. And I mean, I think, even as a mom, that makes me feel good, because I know everybody doesn't have great relationships with their dad. And so I think that's important. What do you think are the challenges, to fatherhood? Because I think, again, there are people who, have great relationships, but everyone doesn't have a great relationship, similar to what, Marcus kind of voiced a little bit earlier. So what do you feel are some challenges to fatherhood?
I think one of the big challenges is, you have to really be the parent at the end of the day. And I think, I'm seeing some of these younger, newer parents, fall into this trap of, being their child's friend. And there's nothing wrong with being your child's friend, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to make some tough decisions and make tough choices around certain things. And that's where being a parent is paramount in raising your child or raising your children. And that's a big challenge. Another thing for me, I remember when we were talking about just names for our children, and Helen had mentioned, what do you want? Austin is our first child. Do you want him to be a junior? And I was like, no, I need him to, be his own person. I don't want him to be, I don't want him to feel like he needs to live up to, to me. I need him to be his own person. And I think, and again, there's nothing wrong with naming your child, after you, but I just want him to be his own individual and, live his life and do his thing. And then plus there's the whole, okay, hey, you call your name, or you talking to me, you talking to, and so I just kind of, it was just easy that way.
That is our lives.
Mark the dad. And do you call him Mark the third, or what do you say?
Just plain Mark usually. But if they neither one are listening, I'll do Mark the dad, Mark the son. But little Mark is Mark. And
he's little Mark.
He's just Mark to me, but then Mark the dad.
Got it. So what would you say are the challenges, Mark?
I would say, just kind of like he said, Marcus said, just making sure you're not being their friend, like making sure I put my foot down. And then we're backing up each other. I feel like we do a good job of making sure when, I say something that, we're on the same page about it, even if we have to have a sidebar, say, hey, where are we going with this? Before we do what we need to do. I mean, Mark's getting to the age where, he's becoming more independent. He's seeing more outside. He's on his iPad, and that's a whole nother issue that we're trying to make sure we figure out. But I think those are the challenges, making sure we're not, being a friend and we're being a parent so that they have the tools they need and to grow up and, be who we want them to be.
Yeah.
Do y'all think that there are things that mothers, your wives, Black mothers, Black wives, do to make fatherhood difficult or easy?
I mean, there's stereotypes out there, right, of that. But I mean, I'll just, I can only speak to, our relationship. We've got a great relationship as it relates to how we deal with our children, particularly when they were growing up. We would typically, more often than not, be on the same page, even without really discussing what needed to be done. And it's always funny of how something could come up, and if Helen would,
be upset first,
and
be calm.
then I would be calm, and then vice versa,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we just knew to kind of take that role automatically, but we would still be on the same page. It wouldn't be like, we're kind of side with, one of the boys, but we just knew, hey, look, we gotta be firm, and this is what we need to do. And it's hard. It's hard particularly when they're going through something that's really challenging, and because you're always telling your children, hey, if you work hard, you'll get the results will come. And then there's going to be that time when they worked extremely hard and the results just don't come. And man, it's just brutal to see your child going through when they go through that. But you still just, that's where your faith comes in, and, hey, we didn't get it this time, but we gotta, we just got to keep working to get the next time.
No, I agree. I mean, I was thinking, like, sometimes when I know, like, Charlita says something, then he tries to come ask me. I'm like, no, she didn't say that. Trying to be on that same page.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the same time, we're trying to figure him out, and especially Amelia, they're trying to figure us out as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be a challenge, making sure that Amelia, she is way different than Mark. He's a rule follower, and we can tell she's not. She is.
She's gonna make life exciting.
Is that what it is? Okay.
We can see the differences. Let's redo this in a couple of years and see how we feel. But
there was some research that I read that said something, I won't quote it exactly, but the summary of it was that if there is a Black man in the neighborhood, that studies showed that the kids in the neighborhood, even if they didn't have a father figure in the home, did well compared to there being absolutely no Black male presence at all, in a kid's neighborhood. So not talking about the school, but just in the community. And so the reason why I asked that question is because I'm so hyper aware that I have a great Black male role model for my children inside the house. And because of my personality, which you can see, it's easier for me to like jump in, insert, interrupt. I just tell people I can't even apologize. I'm an interrupter. But when Mark is parenting, I am so conscious. And Mark will even say, well, you didn't even say anything. And I'm like, I didn't say anything because like you were doing your thing. And I never want to undermine, dismiss, or feel like either my voice is louder, your voice is louder, or whatever. And so I really I'm more cognizant, maybe because of my personality, like honor that Mark is in the house and he is, a provider and our head of household and all of those things. But then I also know how much it matters, not just for our kids. And there'll be times where we'll do things and Mark will say, well, are the other dads going? And I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter, right? Like
it does matter.
It does matter. Yes,
it does.
Sometimes it does, but maybe not everybody has what Mark has to offer. And knowing that just being there, being on the field trip, the play date or whatever, could impact other kids that are there. So it may matter because you don't want to have to be around the moms, but I'm thinking more about the kids.
No, that's good. Definitely have to have their presence in everything, which is kind of why we were talking and wanted to bring this topic forth today. The last question that I do want to ask is around, what would you like to tell the media about Black dads? Because sometimes I don't like the way the media depicts, our fathers. And I know for just, based on my upbringing, based on my friends, based on where I've grown up, that they're present, they're there, they're doing things, they're going to the schools, and they're, uplifting communities and volunteering and coaching. I mean, all of the things, right? And so what would you say to, the media just about your contribution and the contributions of your friends, as well to fatherhood?
Yeah, it's frustrating when you watch the news. I mean, I don't watch the news with the kids around. I would just say stop airing all the bad stuff that's happening in the Charlotte and our surrounding area, and show more good stuff. I mean, yeah, there's crime or whatever happened here and there, but at the time we don't care about that. That's just you feel the media feeling like we have to show all the good stuff, whatever it is, Black, white, whoever. But I think if we have more representation of all the good stuff instead of the crime and all the bad stuff going on, we would see that in the media. Hopefully, if we've got good reporting and people who are looking at everything. I mean,
balance at the end of the day, be more balanced in the reporting. Everything does not necessarily have to be sensationalized. That we are we're portrayed as deadbeat dads. We're not present. We're not available. We're incarcerated. All those negative things, and though those may be some of the individuals, that's not all of us, right? And show more balance within the news and within the reporting of what's going on in other neighborhoods. Show what's going right within neighborhoods, within families, those types of things. I think it's just important for all of us to see more positive images of everyone doing really good things. And I think that could be really the starting point of something really great within our communities, our neighborhoods, within the state, within the United States. If we can just start to see more positivity, that can be really encouraging for a lot of folks.
I love it. And I just have to say, Happy Father's Day to
Happy Father's Day
of the kings out there, whether you are a father figure playing a role in the community. We honor you, we lift you up, and we wanted to celebrate you tonight on the Behind the Throne podcast. Please be sure to like, listen, subscribe, comment below. Tell all your friends you want to hear the voices of two amazing Black fathers that is a true representation of what we have in our community. We look forward to hearing you, seeing you on our next episode. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Behind the Throne podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and comment below with your feedback. Check out future episodes from us as we discuss motherhood from babies to adults.